Hold on, I'm going to turn the comments on. Okay. Hello. How is everybody today? Yep, follow my YouTube. I've been having a new video dropping this week. And then I'm also going to do a video on the topic that I'm talking about today. I haven't recorded it yet, but I'm kind of want to talk about it with you guys first. I much prefer these this discussion format over me just talking into a camera, but we're doing both. Good evening, Pigeon Emperors. Okay, so Instagram is still down. It should be up very soon. I just needed to resend the ID and do a bunch of stuff. So for now, the link is still going to be, if we could put it up, it's still going to be the jazzylicious.org. It's going to have the link to everything. And we're going to do what we've been doing the past couple Monday nights. I'm going to be on here for an hour and a half, and then we're going to move the party over to my OnlyFans page for a very different kind of live. The past couple weeks, it's been really fun, and a lot of you guys have joined me from this, and you guys went straight there, and I've really liked that. So we're going to do that again today. We're going to do a little talking, and then in the other one, we do a little less talking. I am good. How is everybody? So I'm actually really excited for today's topic because this has been something that has been irritating me for 2 years. Ever since I had a friend who showed me or told me about Kevin Samuels, and I had never heard of this guy, and he played a couple of his videos, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is beyond stupid. And then as time went on and I was spending more time on the internet, this was actually right before I started OnlyFans. And as you guys know, before that, I wasn't really on the internet much. Well, I was, but I was doing more nerdy stuff. I wasn't watching the hot, popular content, because a lot of times I don't think that is the best content out there. And then with the rise of people like Andrew Tate and learning about this whole manosphere and seeing these videos pop up more and more and more, and seeing how big of a community there is of men in particular, and some women, who have really fallen for this high value narrative. Oh, this is how to be a high value man, and this is how to do this, and how a woman should attract a high value, or even women, how to be a high value woman, etc. And obviously the people watching these videos are people who have a void they're trying to fill. I mean, nobody who's happy and content is sitting there researching how to be high value, And I was like, okay, but this narrative is really capturing a lot of people, and a lot of people are trying to follow this advice, or they're trying to, someone said, if I play devil's advocate effectively, will you yell at me and ban me? I have never banned anyone for playing devil's advocate effectively. I actually would love if you did that, especially on this topic. But yeah, please do. I really want it to be a discussion. She doesn't look like that type to ban you for that. No, I've actually never banned anybody. I think I've had my moderator mute people who are just getting they're not being productive. They're just calling people names, other people in the comments, especially. Then I don't. But as long as you have a point, oh my God, my laptop. As long as you have a point, even if it's a stupid point, if you watch my past streams, I address all points, even stupid points. Is this gonna fall? Okay. Sorry, I was trying to lift this, so I put it on my pillows, because my camera is at the bottom, and then you're looking at me like this, which isn't. I was a dick last time. Yeah, she didn't kick me out. Yep, I didn't kick you out. Yeah, Kevin Samuels did pass away, but his legacy, even though when he passed away, a lot of people were not very sad about his passing, which was ooh, that's kind of what he was remembered for. But some people, that kind of the high value term was it wasn't created by him, but it was kind of coined and popularized by him. And then a lot of other people have been really taking this and really using it as a way, because you're going to get a lot of views. There are a lot of people who are oh my God, how do I be a high value man? And so I kind of want to talk about it today. Kevin is cool though. No, he's not. And then this another thing I hear all the time is, oh, he's just realistic. This is just realistic. And I'm like, what is realistic about it? Right. So if we just start with it's good to be a high value man, high value person. We'll go into how they define high value later, because there's a lot of issues with that as well. But essentially what they talk about mostly, I don't see a lot of Kevin Samuels videos talking about, conscientiousness, altruism, emotional intelligence. No, right? A lot of the things he talks about is money, status, increased value in the sexual marketplace, these are the things that a lot of these videos focus on how to be high value. You can't be high value if you don't make a lot of money and you don't have a lot of status and you don't have access to a lot of women. And so the first assumption, I mean, why do we want to do anything, right? What is our goal in life? Is to increase well-being, is to be happy, right? So there's the assumption that if I got these things, if I had money, if I had status, if I had access to more women, I would be happy, or those things make people happy. That's assumption number one. Assumption number two is that these people who have all these things, Hazard say, you don't know who Kevin is? Count yourself lucky. I mean, Kevin is kind of known for getting online and telling it like it is, aka like berating, like telling women like, oh, you want this, well, look at you, how would you rate yourself, you're like average at best. There's a lot of issues with that, namely that Kevin thinks that if he gives somebody a rating, it's now objective measure of their value, and there's no subjective component to it. He also talks about how men, like these realistic expectations, basically telling women that if you're this age and you have kids, then you can only expect to be with this kind of man. And if you're this man and you don't make six figures, you can only be with this kind. It's just very dehumanizing. And one of the first things I always thought of is it's the same people that watch these videos that tell me, like, or women like me, oh, you guys don't respect yourself. You guys are degrading yourselves because you put your body online on the internet. And I'm like, you're sitting here watching videos where you are rating people or determining your value based on wealth and status and money and like how attractive you are, and you're a 7 and you're a 10, and if you're a 10 then you can be like, I can't think of anything more dehumanizing than that. Like to reduce people to like a numerical value and pretend that, you know, this is like a 1-to-1 ratio on beauty and attractiveness and wealth and status and all those things. Like I always thought like I wouldn't do that to anybody else, much less myself. And a lot of these people that are watching this, most of which are not high value men, because you can only be high value if a lot of other people are low value. And most of the people consuming this content are not high value. So they already have determined that they are low value and they're trying to, it's like, okay. Okay. Let me look at a little bit of the comments, but I have a lot I want to talk about today. So I don't want to. The stuff I've seen from him is more like how relationships work. I haven't seen his high value stuff. He's pretty red pill though. Like, not gonna lie. What is red pill again? I know the incels use black pill, which is like life is over. And then there's blue pill. I don't know. Okay. I think he would do that when those women would expect so much, but they give so little, not saying it was okay, you know. What are they giving that's so little? A lot of the things that Kevin Samuel thinks you're giving that is little is like having a kid from a previous relationship or not being attractive to Kevin Samuels. a lot of things like that, which are not objective measures of anybody's value. In fact, I think my value would be increased if Kevin thinks it's low, because it's Kevin, in my opinion. And first devil's advocate point, the question the manosphere is largely answering for men that is elsewhere not answered generally in society is how men are valued societally and romantically, and what they can do to raise their value or attractiveness to reap the obvious benefits. Okay, well, let's talk about the obvious benefits. Let's you see. Okay, so the red pill. Yeah, that's what I thought it was, but I get confused because now there's like 20 color pills in the manosphere. Y'all have like really taken the, like you guys have, I see blue, red, black. And we're going to talk about everything, but first is happiness, right? So would anybody want to be high value anything if it didn't make you happier, right? So you have this assumption that people who have those things are happier than you. And you have this assumption that if you were to get those things, you would be happier and you would enjoy your life more. And that's really sad to me, because it's like, how many of people who have clicked on these videos have ever thought about, is this even going to make my life any better? How many of them have researched happiness? How many of them have researched well-being? And if you've never looked up the science on happiness and what makes you happy, but you've watched 80,000 Kevin Samuels videos or high value, like you're doing things wrong, right? I feel like everyone unconsciously rates other people just by appearance alone most of the time. Example, you're not very likely to go say hello to who looks or dresses like a homeless person rather than the person who dresses very well or looks like they have a well-paid job. This is true, but is being able to approach a very attractive person or be around very attractive, physically attractive people even going to make you happy? Is that a measure of happiness? Like, are people who are around more attractive people happier? Are you like, this is something me and Hazard were talking about this the other day. I get these comments all the time. Oh my God, I would want to marry somebody like you. Oh my God, I would want to be around somebody like you. You're so whatever. And I'm like, why? Physical attractiveness is actually very low on what determines long-term compatibility. And as we'll talk about later, meaningful relationships is actually the biggest factor that's going to contribute to your happiness. Not having access to a bunch of physically attractive people that usually will make that doesn't seem to make people happier. It may look shiny, right? The Bugatti may look shiny, but do Bugattis make people happier? We'll talk about it. And that doesn't mean that, doesn't mean you can't want nice things, but to act like your value and that what you should be searching for in life is wealth, status, and sexual desirability, and those are what you should be searching for in life, and those are how you can determine your value, not only is that dehumanizing, not only is that incorrect according to all the data we have, it's also something that most men are going to search for. A very few percentage of them are actually going to achieve, and even the ones that achieve it are going to maybe sit there and be like, this isn't what I thought it was. How many people do we know that have reached the pinnacle of success, that have everything, and what happens? They get addicted to substances. They aren't very happy. How many influencers do you know that like break down on camera talking about how bad their mental health is? And those are only the ones we see, right? A lot of people put up a front on social media and they're very, very miserable. If you walked on the street and instead of seeing what people look like, and instead of seeing who dressed nice and who looked like they had a nice job, if we could see how happy people were, instead of rating people on how they looked, if we could see a rating of how happy they were, the people that you idolize would be very different. The people that you would want to be like would be very different, because unless you're not looking to be happy, unless you're looking just for empty thrills in life, then go for it. But if you're actually wanting happiness, right? If you actually want those things that make you happy, then look at what makes people happy. Like, even I think it's very interesting to look at like hospice nurses. There's a lot of research out on this. Hospice nurses, people that work with people who have end of life or terminal illnesses, and what they say. The number one thing they say, especially from men, is, I wish I didn't work so hard. I wish I spent more time with my family. Nobody is like, I wish I worked harder and had extra square footage in my family. I wish I had the extra Rolls Royce. These are not things that people say on their deathbed when they're looking back at their life. Oh, I wish I was more high status. That's just not, I wish I had more, I wish more women would have fucked me in my, like, these are not things that people actually at the end of their life, the things that they're like, damn, it's family, it's relationships, it's some other things that we can talk about. Money isn't everything for relationships. It's not, but according to these people, if you want to have access to women, you need to have money. That's what they say. And I'm not saying that's necessarily 100% false. Like, yeah, if there are certain women who are going to seek those things, but then you should think, is that the kind of woman I want? Even for like just sex, fine. Like, okay, what if I didn't have sex with this woman? What if I had actually a meaningful, what if I had somebody that wanted me for me and it wasn't so transactional? Like, having high value, this whole high value narrative basically teaches you how to increase your value in a transactional relationship. It's very weird to me. Hold on. I had like nudes and I want to make sure. All right, let's start with, because those men were brokies and already failed. Oh, just kidding. I think he would try to inform the women he would speak to look for someone who makes them happy instead of looking for wealth and looks. Not necessarily. I mean, in fact, he would call a lot of women fat. He would call a lot of women he was very degrading towards women. And a lot of the women that I literally, like a couple weeks ago, I was having this discussion with this friend, and it randomly came up, and he put up a video, and this woman was saying she wants to wait till she's married to have sex again, but she has a 9-year-old son. And Kevin Samuels literally says, well, you can't do that because you have a son. So now every guy you're with already knows you've had sex, and you can't withhold sex anymore because he can just get sex somewhere else, and you already have a kid. I'm like, what the, like, so if she didn't have a kid, she could like then pretend, like, if those are her values, then she should find somebody who also has those values. It's not like you're out now. Sorry, you already had a kid, so we all know you've had sex, so you can't. Like it's like, what is his advice? Like I don't know. It's like, even if these women did everything that he said, they would still not be happy, and that's the point. He's not teaching you happiness. He's not teaching you substance. He's not teaching you emotional intelligence. He's not teaching you those things. He's teaching you how to have a shallow social media-esque appearance of happiness and success, when we all know that's not real, and we all know most of those people actually are absolutely miserable. I can even say for myself, like, I started making a lot of money, and my actual satisfaction, especially with things that I buy, has just decreased. Like, I used to actually get way more excited when I would buy something. Now I buy like everything I want, and I don't even remember. It just comes to the door, and I'm just like, ugh. Like, it just doesn't mean anything. Let's use Andrew Tate because he's by far the most successful and has well articulated. He's by far the most successful. I mean, how happy is Andrew Tate right now? Sitting in jail. He can't even go for a walk. I don't know. Well articulated ideology. I don't know about that. Now, I don't want to knock Andrew Tate too much because he personally has declared that he doesn't read. He thinks reading is a waste of his time, and he learns more by popping champagne and doing shit. That's what he said. Not true. Reading actually does make you smarter. It makes you more well aware of life, makes you understand perspectives better, analyze real world situations better, which he clearly doesn't know how to do. What Andrew Tate has done is he has really zoned in on this disenfranchised, disillusioned group of men who believe these things about women and what women like, and they think, oh, okay, if I did this, I could just have women. There's actually a study that came out really recently that shows that men who think their status in society is lower is more likely to think these things about women than men who don't. And so he's really tapping in that market. Like, it's not like, and that's the thing, like, because I come from both worlds. I'm in this world now, but I also am a lawyer. So I'm used to being around like doctors, neurosurgeons, lawyers, whatever. And they're not Andrew Tate fans, right? Like, it's not like, people like getting their PhD students are not the people online like top G. Like, those are not his audience. His audience is not that person. These are not people paying $50 a month to Hustlers University to try to make money. He was the most Googled person on earth in 2022, was viewed a billion times a year. So of the manosphere, yes, of the manosphere, I agree. But a lot of things are popular that are fucking stupid. I don't think popularity is a measure of actual true success, unless you want to define it that way, which you can. But my whole argument here is, how are you defining success? How are you defining happiness? And is it actually accurate to what we know about happiness and success? So if you want to, people who like eat their tampons go viral too. Like, I'm not knocking if you want to do that, but look at the most top viewed things on YouTube. Do you think those are the most productive, efficient things to watch on YouTube? It's like, oh, watch me eat 300,000 calories of McDonald's and talk about shit and gossip. Like, and people watch that stuff, right? Is that the best content for you to consume? No. Are those people maybe successful at it because they're hitting that target, or they're catering to the least productive whims of human beings? Sure. But I wouldn't consider that a measure for success. Okay, so you guys getting into the finances stuff, but what do we know about money, right? We know lack of money definitely makes you unhappy. We all want enough to cover our expenses, our bills. We don't want to worrying about money makes you unhappy. Money does bring you freedom. It does give you ability to solve your problems. It does give you security. It helps your health if you can afford to be, better food, better environment, etc. That is reality, right? But a lot of these guys, like, if we want to use Andrew Tate, right? Andrew Tate isn't promoting a successful, happy life with things that you need. Andrew Tate is telling you, oh, you should need to be a millionaire. And if you're a millionaire, your value is better than someone who's making $500,000. And if you're a billionaire, your value is better. And that is not what studies show at all. And so that's incorrect. So a lot of these high value men, they're not saying, oh, okay, you should be trying to make enough money so that you can actually be happy and pursue your passions and work on your relationships. No, they're like, you need the mansion, you need the cars. If you want to fuck that girl, you need to have this car, you need to have a Bugatti. I literally have not heard, I don't watch a lot of Andrew Tate videos, but like once in a while when I do click on them, when they pop up, I feel like he mentions a Bugatti in every single one. And a Bugatti, multiple Bugattis are things that people only who have millions of dollars get. So he's really pushing this lifestyle of excess luxury, right? And a lot of them do that. Oh, excess luxury. They're not telling you, hey, here's how you can be financially stable. Here's how you can be financially literate. Here's how you can be that guy with the big house and the big fancy cars, right? And this is very different than the message you get from even people who make decent money in like academia world, like lawyers, doctors, engineers. How many of them are like, who my Bugatti, right? Even if they make good money, that's just, it's tackiness and in like the actual smart world. But it's not tacky on social media to his audience. That's another thing. Actually, Andrew Tate actually says money isn't everything. His views based on your values based on a mix of your competence, masculinity, personality, wealth, power, and status. So I'm not saying he says money is everything, but he flaunts his money and he acts like money is a very big deal. And competence, I don't know how much competence he has. He's admitted he doesn't read. He thinks that you should live life based on your anecdotal experience and ignore data. If you watch his exchange with Hassan Piker, you've seen that. Masculinity, I mean, I don't know how masculine it is to be in jail because you traffic human beings. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know if Andrew Tate is pushing all of this stuff. If you give me a little soundbite where he says, yeah, you should be X things, yeah, I could show you 10 other sound bites where he's kind of contradicting that or being an idiot. So he was a world champion and did make enough money. Yeah, I'm not saying he's successful if you base success on the stupid shit that he tells you should base success on. I don't know how happy he is. He doesn't seem very happy. He's in fucking jail right now. Like, so if you want to be there, go for it. Anyways, so yeah, anyways, lack of money makes you unhappy. And it is, studies have found that people always think that money will make them happier. And it depends how much money you think. People who make 30 grand a year think if they made 50 grand a year, they'd be happy. People who make 100 grand a year think if they made 250 grand a year, they'd be happier. So people constantly think that if they made more money, they would be happier. There was that famous study, Princeton study in 2010, that showed that I think at that point in 2010, 75,000 was the cutoff, and people who made less than that were unhappier, but people who made more than 75,000 didn't show any increased value of happiness, which kind of aligns with what we were talking about with as long as you have the things you need and you have money to go on vacations, enjoy your life, having that extra stuff doesn't seem to make people happier. There was a newer study in 2001 where that threshold was higher. It's not 75,000 anymore. People do need money, and having more money, having that freedom, having that security, having the ability to kind of navigate your life the way that you want does seem to make you happy. However, that same study showed that the researcher Killingsworth, cautioned against spending all your time trying to earn more money. People who define their personal success in terms of money tended on average to be less happy. And he reiterated this multiple times. People who place their value on money seem to be a lot less happier, which is exactly the opposite of the high value man narrative, which is like your value is partially even determined by how much money you make, seems to not make people very happy. That study is out of date based on inflation alone, based off things over 13 years ago. I agree. I think that 75,000 is not an accurate number, but that doesn't mean now that, you need 80 million. And if you have 80 million, then you're happier than if you have 200,000. Like I don't see any data that would back that up. I would posit that men generally want more. Oh, sorry, I can't talk. More money more for the increased respect from society, interest in women yeah, exactly. But are those things? What is increased? Like, so that's the other thing. Status. What does status mean, right? Status means that other people think you're great. So you have the validation of other people. Do people who live for the validation of others, are those people really happy? Are people who base their self-worth on how other people view them, are those people very happy? Does status make you happy? If you have a bunch of women who like you, not for you, but because of your status and your wealth, and it really reinforces this narrative that your role as a man is to provide and to make this money and not to actually be a full-fledged human being, and you have a lot of these transactional relationships where you're looking at women for what they can give you and they're looking at you for what you give them. That doesn't seem to make people happy from the research that we have. That doesn't seem to facilitate deep, meaningful relationships if you have a lot of status and money and people like you just for that. Status means people hold you in a high regard, are more likely to be friends with you. You're more likely to take you seriously, more willing to give you opportunities, more likely to open doors for you, generally will allow you to be welcome and enjoyed in a variety of environments. yeah, I'm not saying having status won't give you certain opportunities, but more likely to be friends with you because you have status. I don't want those friends. More likely to take you seriously because I don't want those people. It's very much like, if that's what you like about me, you, right? A lot of these people, and I know some of these high value men, and everything is transactional. They're just programmed to be very transactional. Oh, this person can do something for me. This person is important, so I'll talk to this person. You're not important, I won't talk to you. And if you want that lifestyle, if you think that's what's going to make you happy and that's how you're going to live a happy, fulfilled life, even though I'm about to show you all the data does not show this, go for it. Go for it. But just know that it might not be what you think it is. It's not about it's not about should the world be this way or shouldn't it be. That's for the socialists. This is the nature of the game. Do you want to win? It's not the nature of the game. It depends what the game is. Is your game to be happy? Is your game to be fulfilled? Is your game to die and feel like you had a good, meaningful life? Or is your game to get the Bugatti? If that's your game, go for it. Go for it. Although, as we've seen, and as the study shows, and as we have examples of, how many, like, literally even look at some of I used to even look at celebrities when I was younger, and I didn't understand this when I didn't have critical thinking skills, which some people seem they don't have. I used to look at celebrities and be like, you have everything. How are you depressed? You have everything. Why are you addicted to drugs? You're an influencer. You have everything. Why are you crying on social media talking about blah, blah, blah? Like, what the fuck? And it's because that shit doesn't make you happy. And a lot of people aren't honest about that, even when they do reach that point. There was a study actually on millionaires where they found that millionaires aren't very much happier than everybody else, right? And actually, you needed to hit a threshold of at least 10 million where it showed a little bit more happiness. But even that was the researchers called it like very modest. Like, they don't seem to have a greater life satisfaction than other people. But if you think that you know better, and if you think that extra pool or whatever, like and this is now, it's anecdotal, like I can afford a lot of things that I want now. And the more you can afford, the less joy it kind of brings you. I mean, yeah, I could sit on here and flaunt about it on social media like Andrew Tate does. And I could probably attract an audience and be like, ooh, look, I do OnlyFans. Look, I can afford a multi-million-dollar house now, and I can afford this and I can afford that. It's so cool. This is how you can become a high value woman. But am I happier because I have those things? No. I mean, I'm happy because I can afford the things I like. But anytime I buy, whether I buy $100 boots or $3,000 boots, which I do, wear them a couple times, like, it's just like, like, it really isn't anything. That lifestyle is trash. I see it. Those dudes are lonely. Yeah, a lot of them are very lonely. People have their priorities so confused. True happiness comes from meaningful relationships. That's actually number one. I'll talk about some other things. People aren't happy, period. And they think the key is money because their relationships constantly fail. More money, more problems. It's not necessarily more money, more problems. Although if you have a lot of money and then you dip, you're actually sadder. So if you're used to certain things and then you don't have them anymore, this is just about human beings in general. Human beings emotionally, this isn't very logical, but we perceive loss as far more like distressing than missing out on potential gain, right? This is actually in the book I was talking about last week too, where a lot of us see like, oh, if you had something and you lost it, people see it as sad. I think the example he used is somebody who had a really great, like a child who has a great IQ, was about to be really smart, has some injury, and now their IQ is super low. We see that as, oh shit, that sucks, versus somebody who IQ was very low and they didn't get some kind of drug or treatment that would have made them this. We're like, oh, that's different because they didn't already have it. So that is a problem that can come with more money, is that you now have to maintain it. But I don't necessarily think it's more money, more problems. I think money, like we said, can help in some aspects, but past a certain point, it actually doesn't help. It has a lot of potential to harm. And people who seek money or who use money to determine their value and their worth, as research has shown, are less happy. And that is what these guys are teaching you to literally do. So, yeah, we are running around a couple arguments. That's because this is all over the place because I'm responding to your comments instead of going by my little list. I think the pursuit of constant happiness is what causes the trip up for most people in life. I think contentment with one's life and place, oh my God, what is wrong? One's place in life, in society, and with relationships to find what's happening to you. So another big thing that contributes to happiness is gratitude. People who practice gratitude. There was a Harvard study where they had a bunch of people do this for like a certain period of time, practice mindfulness, practice gratitude, altruism, and pro-social behavior. And this study has been replicated in other ways, in other studies. Those are things that really help you with happiness. So happiness is, up to a degree, a choice. There's also a genetic component to it. And the things that do seem to make you a lot happier is what you're talking about, being content, practicing gratitude instead of constantly thinking about what you don't have and how you're not a high value man. If you're spending all your time as a not, I'm assuming if you're a high value man, you don't need to watch videos on how to be a high value man. You are looking at, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to hustle, I want to blah, 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 instead of being happy with what you have. I don't see how you're very happy when you put your head on your pillow at night. What's wrong is that you're shook because I'm obviously happy. Okay. Hello, big fan, by the way. Thank you. So yeah, and especially if you actually do make a lot more money, but you have to work extra hours or you have to lose time in order to maintain or keep making that money, that will decrease your happiness. So once you have everything that you need in your life and you're good, you're content, doesn't mean you have a mansion, doesn't mean you have a Bugatti, but if you work extra hard to get those things, you can actually decrease your happiness because now you're working extra hard hours. You're actually missing out on the things that do make you happy, like those meaningful relationships, physical activity, time in nature. These are all things. And these are, I'm not talking like I have all these things. I'd never go out in nature. I should. There's been plenty of research that shows that makes people happier. That study just came out recently that was published about happiest professions. And I was surprised. So the least happiest professions were, I wasn't surprised by this, lawyers. People are like, oh, how come you're not a lawyer? Bro, lawyers are miserable. Lawyers, bankers, people that worked in office, corporate settings. The happiest professions were like farmers, forest people, like people who are out in nature working with their fans, very difficult jobs that don't even make a lot of money. They actually had the greatest life satisfaction, which is very interesting and should tell you a lot than trying to go be a financial whatever in Wall Street. Those people don't seem to be as happy as people who are out in the forest doing, I don't even know what they're called. I forgot whatever it is. Let's just say the person in question made happy by pursuing and achieving high-end goals and the benefits that brings for the sake of argument. That doesn't make people, whenever you have an external goal that makes you happy, to make you happy, like I want this mansion, will make you happy, then you just want the next thing. That's what these studies show. Like, oh, if I only made this much, oh, now I make this much. Okay, if I made this much, I'd be happier. If I made this, if your end goal is external, you will not be happy. You will not be satisfied when you get there. You can build a relationship with yourself. Hey, I have these goals. I want to do this. I want to show myself I can be disciplined. I want to show myself that I can be outgoing and network. And you may feel very accomplished by those things, but by achieving that material thing, you're not going to be happier. Also, you seem to, I know you said you want to play devil's advocate the whole time, but maybe let me finish a point instead of just trying to find ways to just type. Okay. Park rangers. I forgot what they're called. I don't know anything about nature or that, but I was like, oh, yep, they're at the top of the list. And also how you spend your money makes a difference on how happy you are. Buying experiences over things makes you a lot happier. This is very obvious. And this is not what these men, this is not what the lifestyle Andrew Tate is showing you. He's not like, hey, you have a lot of money, maybe go have a really great experience, maybe go travel the world, maybe go see other people, other perspectives, other cultures. No, he's constantly talking about his private jets and his Bugattis. He shouldn't even be mentioning those things, because if you do make a lot of money, buying things actually does not make you happy, but buying experiences makes you happy. Buying time makes you happy. That's another thing that research has shown. If you spend your money on doing things or spending money on things that saves you time, that makes you happier. Whether it's, okay, having someone else come in and do some of the responsibilities in the house, maybe buying yourself more time to build those meaningful relationships, to spend time in nature, to exercise, to practice gratitude, to practice mindfulness. Those things seem to make you happy. And number 3, spending money to help others, pro-social behavior, seems to make people a lot happier. That's just our nature. We are pro-social creatures. Our happiness is increased when we are helping others, more so than buying ourselves Bugattis. And again, that isn't, that doesn't mean I'm perfect at it. I'm not, but that is what, there's things that we know will make us happier. And then there are things that we still don't do. Tate says buying things doesn't make you happy. Okay, the thing is, Tate has said probably 8 billion things. And so if Tate says the sky is blue at some point, that doesn't mean the sky is blue is wrong. But Tate saying buying things doesn't make you happy, but constantly bragging about the things he has, kind of, he's trying to, oh no, money doesn't make you happy. Buying things doesn't make you happy, because he's trying to be like, right, but he's like, oh, look at my Bugatti. I have 27 cars. How many of us know he has 20? Like, why would you even say that, right? So if you actually look at very, very rich people, and I worked with very, very rich people now, and also when I was working full-time as a lawyer and other things, they don't act like that. Not saying that Tate isn't rich, he is, but it's just not something that people do. It's tacky, it's weird. Tate just feeds off the insecurity of men. Yeah, he does. So Tate kind of sees himself as pro-social because of how much he helps these unhappy men, same as Jordan Peterson. I think I don't even know if he views himself as pro-social. I think he views himself as intelligent, because he helps these unhappy men by making them pay him. If he really wanted to help unhappy men, he has all this money. Why not make Hustlers University free? Why do you have to pay $50 a month and have an affiliate program and get more money if you sign someone up under you? Is that pro-social? I mean, he doesn't need it. With all his money, he can live the rest of his life. He can buy whatever he wants. He has enough money to support his kids and grandkids. Why is he charging these unhappy men $50 a month at least to sign up for his fake university that doesn't actually seem to reap any benefits? Don't know. He doesn't actually. Yeah, exactly. And Tate's philosophy only works as long as he has not rich if the university actually helped and there were no men anymore that he could profit off of, that were unhappy, his model only works as long as there's unhappy, unsuccessful incels still that can pay him this money. The point is that he thinks and regards himself as pro-social. No, he tries to tell the men that he's trying to scam that he's pro-social, and he's trying to give off the vibe that he's pro-social so that he can trick these men into paying him. But I don't know if he even regards. I don't know what Tate's thinking when he puts his head on his pillow at night. I have no idea. I don't think everything he says is what he actually thinks. I think he does do some stuff that he knows is just going to get him the attention that he wants. So again, and like, it's not just the money. He's like, oh, you'll have the status. Like, are people who are concerned with status and validation from others, are those the happiest people? Do people that want these kind of transactional relationships, men who see themselves as, I have to play this role as a provider and have this status and this wealth instead of being a full human being, are these people happier? Sexual marketability, like even that, like initial attraction is great, but it actually fades a lot over time. And if that's all you have, if you're attractive, or you're just grabbing, or you have access to people that are attractive, does that make you happy? Not that we know of. Again, the number one contributing factor to happiness is meaningful, deep connections and relationships. That's not just with the opposite sex. That's your friends. That's your community. That's all of those things. Tate University should be teaching you how to do that, if anything. How to have real friends, how to get out there and create a community, how to be involved in a community, how to get closer to your family, or even build a meaningful relationship. I don't think Tate has meaningful relationships with the opposite sex. From what I heard, he likes this lover boy method, and he likes to trick women into sex trafficking and shit. I don't know how meaningful these relationships are. Okay, let's see. This devil advocates guy is trying really hard, but let's try to see what he has to say. So as I gather it, your central premise is that the dictates of the manosphere are not what brings true happiness. So achieving wealth, status, and masculinity are not worth your time because they won't bring happiness. I don't think they're worth your time the way that they say it's worth your time. And a lot of the things they tell you actually make you less happy. Like basing your wealth on money makes you less happy. Basing your value at all on stupid shit like that will make you less happy. And that's what it's not me. I know Tate doesn't like to believe in evidence. He likes to believe himself. That's what he said. But he doesn't like data, and he doesn't like reading. you can go ahead and follow that. Or you can look at it and be like, people who seek validation in others are less happy. People who base their value on how much money they make are less happy. People who forego meaningful relationships for quick sexual relationships are less happy. So maybe if I follow this formula, I will become less happy. And at the very least, it doesn't seem that it'll make me a lot more happy. And besides that, there is like a 0.002% chance I'm even going to make it there, because again, the whole point of high value men is a very, very small percentage of them are actually there, because in order for them to get there, a bunch of other people have to not be those things. And most of his audience, the vast majority of his audience, will never reach the high value status and will constantly be searching for it. And what a waste of your fucking time, because it's not even what you think it is. That's what I'm saying. Based? Are you fucking kidding me? I spent a decent portion of writing of that and your response to me is based. Wait, are you talking to me? I don't know what the fuck's going on. I think you're in the wrong chat, or you're talking to someone else. I've never used the word based in my life. Fact, incels and sad men are his target audience because he encourages unfulfilling and mostly unattainable goals. Yeah, unfulfilling and unattainable. That is, he said it better than I did. Go, I don't know how to say this, Dioken. Go Dioken. The problem with their narrative is they're teaching you unfulfilling and unattainable goals. What a terrible combo. Which to these men sound good because they are desperate and they are objectifiable goals, which are easy to set. Yeah. And they teach you how. People say I objectify myself. I think you're very much objectifying yourself if you are reducing yourself instead of the person you are, the values you hold, the feeling you give other people to wealth, status, and sex. Very primitive, stupid thinking, low IQ thinking. That's what it is. Your ability as a man to participate in community. No, it's not. No, it's not. Do you know what community means? Community doesn't mean your business CEO meetings over there where they're like, where they're looking at how they can give off to the public that they care about social issues. You can be in the community right now by volunteering. Religious communities. I'm not religious. Most of you know I'm an atheist, but the stats are the stats, and people who are very active, religious people, are happier than everybody else because they are those of them that are very involved in their communities. I'm actually very jealous of these like Jewish like communities where they all go to the synagogue and they all like share food and they all invite each other to people's houses and they have this very pro-social behavior in their communities. That's what they're talking about. These are not rich, wealthy people. In fact, these people don't care about those things because that doesn't align with their values a lot of the time. So I don't know what you're saying. Again, I know you said you're going to try to play devil's advocate, but some better arguments would be appreciated. It's not men who value themselves. That is society generally. It's really not society generally. Like women, a lot of these women that are insecure, like women who are like, I need to get a high value man. You don't want to date these women. You don't want to marry these women. I mean, if your thinking is there and their thinking is there, sure, be Andrew Tate's girlfriend. But Andrew Tate's girlfriend doesn't seem like a fucking. She might look good, but she doesn't seem intelligent. She doesn't seem smart. She doesn't seem I mean, Tate literally said he likes women that agree with him on everything. So if he says that's his favorite car, it's better if the woman also says that's his favorite car. Tate says he prefers 19-year-olds over 25-year-olds. At 19, your frontal lobe cortex is not developed. He literally prefers people with underdeveloped brains. So if that's what you're looking for in life, go for it. But again, I'm speaking to the men who want more. You can go search for those things. But this is speaking to people who may not understand that these are not the things you can be looking for and can maybe tweak, okay, maybe the point of my life or my goal in this life is not to be a millionaire and be able to fuck IG models. Maybe that isn't, not only because it's pretty unattainable, but also because even those who attain it, a lot of them are miserable. And if you actually know a lot of people that are honest and they are around those people, they can tell you that. Sorry, I gotta answer this. Okay. Tate's no different than a snake oil. Well, then the world is full of it. I remember reading that article that explains how and why toxic people get ahead a while back. Yeah. we have this idea, I've talked about this before, but in America especially, we have this idea of the meritocracy, and we think people who have achieved this fake success, even like the Kanye West of the world, like Kanye is an idiot, like he just is, and we think, oh no, because he made good music and he has a lot of money, then maybe his opinion on foreign policy matters. No, literally, you could get a random person off the street and his opinion on foreign policy is probably a little better well informed than Kanye West. Yet people don't see that. Same with Andrew Tate. He got a lot of views online, therefore he must be saying something right. He must be saying something true. He's resonating with a lot of people, therefore it might be right, therefore it must be true. I mean, we can see online, like people, Alex Jones has a huge audience. It doesn't mean what he's saying is right or true at all. A lot of people are dumb. Like, that's just what it is. A lot of people don't have critical thinking skills. A lot of people, we talked about in a previous episode, what leads people to be more inclined to believe in conspiracy theories, feeling like they have low status in society, being uneducated. These are things that lead people there. And a lot of people are those things. A lot of people are uneducated, and a lot of people lack feeling like they have a lot of power in this world. And those things, believing that you uncovered some conspiracy theory or you realize that all these shootings are fake and whatever, that makes you feel powerful. So you're more likely to believe those things. So that doesn't make it true. There's the appeal to common belief fallacy. We talked about it in one of the fallacy episodes that I did, where it's very stupid and it's a fallacy to believe that things are true just because people think it's true. For a long time, people thought the earth was flat. That didn't make it any more true. Communities, volunteering, and exhibiting kindness. Yeah. And those are things that not only make you happier, but at least increase your real value as a human being. Your real value as a human being is what impact did you leave on the people that know you? How did you help other people? When people think of you, like Hazard Sin in here is such an amazing person, and he impacts people in such a real way. Are you there for people when they need you? Are you somebody people can trust? Are you somebody genuine? Are you somebody real? Those are things that really make you high value because they help you make meaningful relationships and they help you help other people, which are things that actually increase not only your happiness, but the happiness of the people you're around. I don't know if Andrew Tate is increasing the happiness of the people he's around because a lot of them are accusing him of like rape. So don't know about that, but you know, so don't get rich, achieve status, become competent, master the man. Join a church group. This will make you happier. I never said that, especially when you quote it. What a dumbass. Well, I think it's more about finding fulfilling relationships versus, yeah, I know. It's not just joining a church, especially if you don't believe it. I'm an atheist. I would never join a church in my fucking life. That doesn't mean I can't find my own community, and that doesn't mean I should work more to finding my own community, finding like-minded people, doing activities that I think will bring me closer to people that are like me and to build a community. I just said that as an example, like for people that are religious, it's very easy to congregate around other people who share your values. For those of us who aren't religious, we have to find other ways. It's not always as easy. Yeah, I like Jazmen watching her YouTube, although I'm mostly there for the outfits. Thank you. There's more of that on my later live. You're oversimplifying your argument and parroting it back. You need to make points supporting the misogyny. Yeah, again, so what another fallacy that Pigeon Emperors is showcasing is a straw man. He is misinterpreting and giving the worst possible interpretation of my argument and then arguing against that because it's easier for him. And he's even using quotes as if you're using quotes, then you should actually make sure the person said it, like if anything. Fulfilling relationships are sometimes found in church groups. I believe that. The idea is that is an easier way to have a community. Doesn't mean other people can't be just as fulfilled not in church, but it's harder. Like, you know, if I was Jewish or Mormon or whatever, I could easily find a Mormon church in my area and I would automatically have a community, a very welcoming, open community. But that doesn't mean that as an atheist, I can't find that. I was just using that as an example. If you're going to be playing devil's advocate, we do want better arguments. Ad hominem is another example of your argument breaking down. Wait, what? So you're saying I made ad hominem attacks on Andrew Tate? I guess partially. I'm not saying I didn't at all, but that doesn't mean I didn't also cut at his arguments, which you never cut at those arguments. I'm like, this is what the data shows. And you're like, well, you're saying join a church? Like I said, you still need to present your argument. Devil's advocating seeks to convince and convert. Yeah. Let me know if anyone's convinced or converted by his arguments. All right. So what does make people happy? We talked about a lot of this. Personal connections and meaningful relationships, spending more time in nature, activities that seem to make people happy, gardening, going to museums, physical activity. We already talked about some of the happiest professions, maintaining a pleasant hobby or work environment. Maybe some of these men should be saying, hey, how can you find your passion? Hey, how can you find what actually makes you happy? Instead of being like, this is how you can make as much money as possible. Maybe that won't make you happy. Take it from somebody. Yes, I make way more money now than I did as a lawyer, but I didn't like being a lawyer and I would have taken a pay cut to do this over that. And there are a lot of people who, if they took a pay cut and they gave up some square footage of their house and they drove a less nice car, they would be happier. Finding a pleasant hobby or work environment, you're spending a lot of time in your work environment. Find something that brings you passion and joy. That will make you happier. Giving back to the community or those in need. We talked about gratitude, mindfulness, pro-social behavior. We know that there's a genetic component in happiness. We don't know. I've seen like 30, 50%, but we also know there's a big percentage that is based on what you do and your thoughts and what you're seeking. If you're constantly negative, you're like, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm not high value, no girls when you fuck me. You're not going to get happy that way. And I have trouble. I mean, I'm not thinking those things, but I have trouble sometimes with my negative thoughts, and they definitely impact my happiness. And practicing those things like mindfulness, being present, being aware of what you put into your mind and your body, all of those things are things that make you happiness. And it's just such a, like, if you look at, I know some of you think that, like Andrew Tate is intelligent because you probably also don't read, or Kanye West is intelligent because both of them have admitted Kanye has literally said he's never read a book cover to cover. Okay. But if you look at people who actually wrote and think about the greatest philosophers of our time, scientists, even of not our time, look back at Socrates, Plato. What is Confucius' line? The superior man will always think of virtue. The common man will think of comfort. What do they always talk about? Virtue, wisdom, life satisfaction. How often are these great philosophers sitting there like Bugatti? Like, they're not, right? They're talking about how are you a person. When they talk about value, when they talk about the value of a man, when Plato, so any of these people, they're talking about virtue. They're talking about like even being a leader, but not being a leader because you have all this money and you have all this status because you have all this money. What's your impact? What are you leading people in the right way or the wrong way? Hitler was a leader. Is he a good leader? No, right? Just having influence doesn't make you a valuable person. Okay, let me look at the comments. Yeah, the church was just the point you're making, but he is straw man meaning everything. Yeah. Convinced or converted? Yeah, I'm sure the world's going to give over to wealth, status, romantic options because you cited one insanely well. I actually did multiple studies. I can actually give you more of that. And I'm not saying the world is going to stop. I think you're going to continue and you're going to be miserable. But if I can change one person's mind, that's my only point. I never said I'm here to change the world. And I know I've changed people's minds because I get messages all the time. If you were even my last stream, somebody's like, you literally changed my mind on sex work. You changed my mind on this. You changed my mind on that. My goal is to change one person's mind, or to even start making people think in a different way. It's not to change the world. Oh, you guys think about my intellectual best on these streams? Yeah, I like these better than YouTube because the dialogue, I think, helps people out, even when it's stupid dialogue, like with this guy. But it helps me reinforce my points, and it makes my points stronger because their points are weak. Money can help you achieve happiness, but it's not the end all be all. Yeah, up to a certain point. But again, basing your value on how much money you make won't make you happy, and believing that people who have exorbitant amounts of money are happier or more valuable is inaccurate. Pursuing wealth, status, or romantic options isn't the ultimate goal. Finding happiness, fulfillment, knowledge, and peace is more important than, yeah. And these are not things that, like, how often does fucking Andrew Tate tell you to seek knowledge? In fact, he literally advocates for never reading books. Like, I've never seen anyone that dumb. All right. It depends how you define intelligence. Kanye and Tate both achieve enormous and multiple domains of human. That doesn't make them great at everything, but it does obviously demonstrate ability enormously above average. Again, depends how you define it. I'm not saying intelligence is multifaceted, but the problem is that just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that you know, like, Kanye doesn't have critical thinking skills. Kanye admits he doesn't. Kanye doesn't even know the right usage of your. Like, things like that. Like, yeah, he's good at making beats, but does him being good at making beats mean that he's good at teaching you anything other than making beats? Tate is really good at making money off trafficking women and scamming people online. Great, wonderful. He's an effective communicator at people who are disenfranchised. Trump is an effective communicator of people who feel like they're not getting ahead in life and they want a group to blame, like immigrants, etc. Great, they're successful at that. Yeah, go for it. That doesn't make them intelligent or true leaders in my eyes. Like we said, Hitler was successful. Who all determines that value is that obtained from leaving an impact on people? If Andrew Tate died today, his value would be determined by those who agreed with and disagreed with his legacy and morals. Who has the authority to determine the value of another person, the society, of the individual themselves? That is my whole point, that these things don't actually bring you value, but what can bring you value is your own, the value that you bring to other people. That's positive, I would say. If you have a negative impact on people, sure, you can be valuable in that aspect. Hitler was very valuable to Nazis at the time, not very valuable to Jews. Kanye is not very valuable to Tate seems to be, and I mean, again, I was actually surprised when Kevin Samuels died. As somebody who likes to, who predicated his entire existence on being high value and being a man of status, he was literally king of incels, was trending on Twitter the night he died. People were not remembering him in a positive light at all. He was coined these terrible things by people. And I'm not saying that if people remember you great, then you're great. I actually make the argument all the time, who cares how people remember you, because you're dead anyway. Being able to see that impact in your life and being able to have that peace and fulfillment within yourself means you have a far more valuable life than if you're throwing around your money online, scamming people, and you're just empty. Being a weak argument, just calling them idiots because they don't have a traditional education or engage the way you do, and you disagree with them, doesn't make them less brilliant in their domains with they both demonstrate. They're idiots in the sense that they don't. I think an idiot is someone who can't demonstrate critical thinking skills, who doesn't understand skepticism, who doesn't understand evidence, who doesn't understand burden of proof. That makes you an idiot, especially if you're going to come speak out about it. There are a ton of people I know that are just not into this stuff and they just don't talk about it, right? But if you are going to go online and you're just going to spew misinformation, then you're an idiot, unless your goal is to spew that misinformation in order to get a gain for yourself, which maybe arguably Andrew Tate does, in which case you're not a good person. You're trying to profit off hurting other people. And if not, if you really believe those things, you're an idiot, because like even that exchange with, he's like, well, I just am going to go based off of what I see. I'm not going to go based off of data and science. Like, okay, you're an idiot. If you think the world is, and like, then he's like, okay, so do you think the earth is flat because when you go outside, it looks flat? And he took off his headphones. Like, he's not well equipped to actually deal with people that are intelligent in any way, right? He's not being invited to universities to speak. There's a difference between skill sets and traditionally determined intelligence. With that said, the aforementioned people do have high intelligence in certain areas. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the problem is, in the areas they're lacking is the areas that they decide that they want to use to spread misinformation. That's the problem. There are plenty of other people that are very good artists or whatever that don't come online and spew hate towards a group of people based on an immutable characteristic. Kanye decides that he wants to do that, right? So he can get critiqued for it, and now he could be called an idiot for that. If he just stayed quiet, we would all be like, oh, he's a musical genius. Maybe he's smart. Then he starts talking, and we're like, oh, no, he's not. Everyone is full of shit. Puerto Rican, bye, he's back. Moral choices and skills, understanding. I am very disappointed in Pigeon whatever is devil's advocate. Does anyone else want to play devil's advocate? I actually would like that. I like being challenged in that way, but again, weak arguments. What do you think, guys? Welcome to the existential brain. We didn't even get into the argument because you essentially just say these things mean nothing. I never said they mean nothing. I just said they're not conducive to human flourishment and happiness to the extent that these men say, and sometimes actually to the detriment of human happiness, in the sense that you should try to make money because you want more freedom, more opportunities, more time to focus on health and meaningful relationships, but you should never base your value on that, which is what the data shows. And once you reach that point, trying to make more in order to make more money, more status, and whatever seems to make you pretty empty as well. Again, you don't understand my argument or you really love a straw man, but I don't think a straw man's going to fly in here because everyone else is calling you out on it and I'm calling you out on it. Again, we just want better arguments. I'm looking at the internet for entertainment. This is too serious to hurt my brain. Well, my OnlyFans live stream won't be as serious. Kanye's stupid. Yes, we know this. Well, he's stupid in some ways, but a lot of people, that one guy, what's his name, Pigeon, whatever, wants to argue that he's very not stupid. Think of it as mental stretch exercises, low impact, but still healthy. I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever want those things. I'm not saying you shouldn't want a nice house or a nice car, whatever, but that shouldn't be what you consume your time. Like, you should not consume your time watching Kevin Samuels tell you that that's how you're going to be happy and that's how you're going to be a high value this and that's how you're going to get this woman and that woman. Again, based on an assumption that doesn't seem to be based in any kind of reality that, oh, if you did those things, if you got those things, then you're good. You guys should be watching a lot of stuff on how can I increase my, how can I spend more time focusing on gratitude, meaningful relationships? How can I find my passions and find a way to profit off of my passions? Like, kind of like I'm doing now. That doesn't mean you don't want to have money. That doesn't mean money doesn't matter, but that shouldn't be your focus. Especially trying to be a millionaire or billionaire, like stuff like that. Like, it seems like there are certain communities that focus on that, especially communities that don't have it. So we see this a lot in the world of like hip hop, right? These people come from poverty, they come from nothing, and then they get all these, like, one of them becomes rich, a rapper, and then it's like, look at my cars, look at my house, look at my this, look at my that. Or same thing with people like these incels. They don't have any women, so they think, oh, if I had all the women available to me, I would be so happy. It's an insecurity that these men have based off lacking those things in the first place, and they think that if they could get exorbitant amounts of it, then they would be far happier, which is not true, right? And you don't see this behavior in people who actually, like, even, I guess like doctors and lawyers aren't billionaires, but they make six-figure incomes and they do not act like this. It seems to be something that's unique to people or communities or subcultures where they lack it so much. And so their whole life is like, how do I get an abundance of this? How do I get an abundance of this? If I got an abundance of this, I'd be so happy, because lacking it makes me so unhappy, when there's more nuance to that. You're making a subjective assessment about what happiness brings. Did I not just talk about what the studies show? You could do a quick Google search, what makes you happy, and you will find gratitude, mindfulness, meaningful relationships, spending time with nature, physical activity. There's nothing subjective about this. In fact, it's not subjective because I don't practice a lot of those things, and I think it impacts my happiness in a negative way. Your first sentence is automatically out. You want the attention of women, access community, respect and men, personal freedom, do what you take your children, family, provide for and protect people you care about, do what you. Then achieving the dictates of the ministry will help you. Want every benefit from society, offer a man, become rich. Okay, then you do that. You do that. But this is not subjective. This is objective. This is objective measure of what makes people happy based on multiple studies, data, empirical evidence, research, etc. This is not subjective. What you're talking about seems to be very anecdotal, based on people who have those things, or based off, I don't know, commercials and TV shows and music videos you watch. Seems like you think those things make you happy when actual data does not support your argument. You're kind of dumb, bro. Like, I wish you were smarter. Okay. I was making a reference to a YouTube short. She's good at finding people. Yeah, I am good at finding people when I want to. Unhinged much? Yeah, I don't know. even if there are objective trends. They're not objective trends. It's not like maybe this person is happier in an empty house with no meaningful relationships and 3 pools, and this person may or may not be happier if they have strong community ties, spend a lot of time. Yeah, we know actually a big component of happiness is genetic. So maybe this person is genetically predisposed to be happier and has these nice things, and this person isn't. Again, that can be up to 50% is genetic, but what you can actually do in your life to increase your happiness, science has told us, and it's not the prescription that these men are giving you. That's not a subject. That's not me saying this. That's what scientists are saying. That's what people who research this are saying. It may not be what Andrew Tate is saying. So you can pay $50 and sign up for his university and see if it makes you happy. In fact, I would love for you to do that because I'm not fucking doing that. And I think some of the more competent men in this chat aren't doing that. You should do that and let us know how it works. That society rewards high value men as clear objectives. It rewards them with what? Rewards them with what? With transactional relationships, with women who only see them for their status and wealth, with what? I'm not saying every benefit you get is bad, but it seems like at the core of it, if it can, and I can tell you a lot of men who have a lot of money are constantly, so I'm gonna update my reminder tomorrow, are actually, it's very hard for them to build meaningful relationships because they understand that it's like hard for them to even be around people without thinking that, oh, they're around me because they want something from me and it's transactional. That doesn't mean none of them are happy. That doesn't mean that none of them have anything like worth, like meaningful in their lives. But a lot of times that's where that more money, more problem kind of narrative comes from almost. I don't necessarily agree with it 100% of the time, but a lot of times when you're in very high places and high positions, you even lose the ability to do things that can make you happy, like being around people in nature and being even just sitting somewhere and people watching. That has shown to reap a lot of benefits. And a lot of times these very high status people are just stuck, like either living their lives online or very in close knit circles where everybody wants something from them. People take advantage of them a lot, or they're trying to, even the women they're around. Like, again, yes, beautiful women will flock to you, but is just having a multitude and abundance of beautiful women who only like you because of what you can provide a reward? Sure, it's a reward. You can call me dumb, but you're not exactly disproving my points either. Yeah, I'm pointing at evidence that contradicts what you're saying. That's me disproving your points. But if anyone else agrees with him, let me know. It doesn't seem like anybody agrees with you. I think as a lawyer, you could have a discussion without stooping to personal attacks. I do. I address your points, and then I'm mad because they're not good, and I wish they were better. That's all. You are not here to disprove your argument. You're doing a fine job of that yourself. I'm here to rate. Yeah, you declared yourself the devil's advocate, and the jury has decided that you lost. If you want to get into lawyer world, I think it's unanimous actually. Just check out the studies you were referencing. I think the basis of studies based out of expectations and how a person views them. What do you mean? Which study? There's a reason I stopped typing. This guy's an idiot. Yeah. That's why I wish I had more discussion going on where people maybe have some nuances or disagreements that were a little bit better articulated. Bro, I literally haven't spoken to you once. Yeah, but you're speaking to everybody. You're speaking to the chat. And so it's a discussion. So when you put something in the chat, other people are welcome to tell you that your argument's bad, even if you're not talking to them. This isn't a one-on-one conversation. You wouldn't be able to have a one-on-one conversation with me without paying. So this is your only chance to do that. I just want to know if that guy is actually happy with his life right now. I'm going to say no, but I don't know for sure. Your entire argument is that the things people want, they shouldn't want, and they should practice wellness. That's not my entire argument. I don't know if you don't understand that or you weren't listening, but no. I do think, though, that a lot of people, we want things that won't necessarily bring us happiness. I talked about it. The book is actually under here. That's spoken about in the moral landscape a lot, too, that there are things that we all make decisions. Like, we know exercising and being consistent at the gym will probably make us happier in the long run, but we choose to sit on the couch and eat potato chips. That doesn't mean that the thing we know we should be doing won't make us happier, right? The motivation aspect is different, but what's even worse is being motivated to do something that probably won't make you happier. Open discourse is why I love these streams. Yes. These things won't bring you happiness, guys. Meditate. Well, meditating will probably bring, it's actually been shown to have a lot of great benefits, including being happier and greater life satisfaction. That's not just me. That's what the science shows. You don't seem to be a science person. Again, Pigeon Emperor, please sign up. $50 a month. Let us know if that works. Better than meditating. You want to meditate or pay off your mom's house and cover the medical bills? Both. Who says you have to choose? You can meditate 10 minutes a day. You have an hour a day to come write incoherent arguments on my stream. So I'm sure you have 10 minutes a day to try to practice meditation and then spend the rest of your time trying to cover those bills. And actually, I literally said you should. Making money, enough money to cover your bills is going to make you happier. But having enough money to buy 3 Bugattis so you can show off on social media and show off to girls who are also lost and also want to chase security and chase a man who's a provider instead of the person that they are, you can do that as well. Jazmen is happiness. Thank you. Bad arguments hurt my brain. I know, you guys. I love good arguments, even again that disagree with me. I think that people think they know what will make them happy. Society tells us as consumers what will make us happy. Yes. Can we bold this? You guys also have to understand that advertisements and capitalism and this consumer culture that we live in is also constantly feeding you this narrative. Oh, if you buy this, girl, if you fix your skin, if you have ugly skin, you can't do that. Oh, you have this is better. This will bring you more status. Wear this name brand, wear that name brand, because they have an incentive for you to go out and do those things. And I fall victim to that all the fucking time. I'm not going to pretend that I don't. But people think they know will bring them happy because they're fed that narrative constantly. I think your earlier argument plays a big part in the pushback scene. In which argument? Which statement? Boom, point for Dennis. Who's Dennis? Are you Dennis? You're Puerto Rican Pod 22 to us. That a person's worth is seen as more valuable when they have more things or make more money. Dude, I never said that isn't true. I never said that if you walk down the street, people are going to not see you in a better way if you have more money or more status. But is seeing yourself through the eyes of other people how you actually are content and at peace with yourself? No, that's my argument. I'm not arguing that if you go out on the street, people aren't gonna, like, same thing with physical attractiveness. If I go out on the street and a lot of people like me because I have huge tits or whatever, yeah, that's true. Am I more fulfilled am I happier because of that? What happens when this is gone, right? Like, if I base my worth on, oh, when I go out, people want to be around me, high value men love being around me, blah, blah, blah. If I place my worth on that, is that going to link to fulfillment and happiness? Mm-mm. I also make a lot of money. I like making a lot of money, but I mean, I was still saying Hazard Sent. I want more meaningful relationships. I want closer relationships because I don't get fulfilled by having, and same thing, like we see with lottery winners, people who win the lottery, they're happier for about 6 months and it goes back to your baseline because the actual happiness you get from having all these things is very fleeting. And then you realize, oh, well, I don't have these relationships, I don't have this. And you go right back down to where your base happiness was if you do not work on things that actually bring long-term fulfillment and happiness. Oh, here we go, Pigeon Emperors. Okay, we got to read another comment, guys. Whoo, prepare our brains. Men want the benefits societies can give them. Society gives those rewards. Okay, men want the benefits society can give them. Yes, we're human beings. We want those things. But is that where is that the things we should be wanting? Is that the things we should be yearning for? That's my fucking argument. Can you please understand this? Society gives these rewards to men on the basis that these rewards are not worth it. That's what I'm telling you. Not really, not deep down, it's not the best rewards you can get. Why not seek better things? That's all I'm saying. Because you're literally just saying those benefits aren't fulfilling. I'm saying they're not fulfilling if you don't have the foundation of things that make you happy. If you do not have meaningful relationships in your life, it does not matter how much wealth you have, how much, and I can tell you this because I suffer from this, because I am very off-putting. I am kind of anti. So I have really close friends. I am close with my family, but especially in romantic relationships, I kind of am very like distant from meaningful relationships. And I am in the process of buying a house, very nice house right now. And I just literally, the first thing I did was like picture myself in just this empty house. Like, oh, like that's not cool. You know, so this does happen to rich people too, I promise you. And if you are saying that you want all those things, so I can be like, guys, look at my nice house, look at my pool, look at my infinity pool, look at my hot tub, that isn't going to make me as happy as if I have a smaller house and meaningful relationships. But that is the reason for the manosphere's persistence. The reason for the manosphere's persistence is that there's a lot of disillusioned, unhappy, low status men in society. That's the whole point, right? It's the low status men that believe this. It's the low status men that want this, like I said, especially coming from the two worlds I come from. You know how long it took, like, because I'm in this world, I would talk to my friends from like you know, that are lawyers or whatever. They don't know who the fuck Andrew Tate is. And then like even my cousins are both attorneys. They Googled him and they started laughing. But like, I was like, they're like, who the fuck is that? And I was like, they're like, oh yeah, I heard, didn't he get banned or something? And I remember my cousin literally, and she's like, was just genuinely, she's like reading, she's like, and he'll teach you about cryptocurrency. Like she was, it's like funny to these people, right? But it's only these people that have this void, that aren't doing well with women, that don't maybe have a great job, that don't feel fulfilled with what they're doing, that are watching this content and being like, oh, this must be the answer, because they don't know any better. Beloved family man versus lonely millionaire. That's her argument. Mm-hmm. Good luck with that. Only so much time reverse. I know the feeling. Making the change to meaningful relationships can be a tough one. Yeah, it can be. And a lot of times, even like I fall into that narrative. Oh, well, I'm independent and I make my own money and I make good money. And, you know, like, I don't need that. I don't need people, blah, blah, blah. That's not a good mindset to have. Meaningful relationships are hard work. It's harder work than making money, at least for me. And that's why I avoid it. So exactly. Well, and yeah, if you're rich and you have great meaningful relationships, in fact, like it seems like the multimillionaires that are very family oriented are happier than like the multimillionaires like Andrew Tate, who just exploit people and spend time in prison. You know, like it's just, I don't know. Would you rather be the millionaire that doesn't flaunt his money online? Because I know a lot of them who have, you know, whatever, they don't talk about their money, they don't flaunt their money, they have meaningful relationships, and they just live normal lives. They don't go out on the street and people don't necessarily always see. That's another thing. A lot of like me, I used to talk about, my mom has a law firm. She has her own law firm. And I would see the clients that come in and I'm like, and she'd be like, you know how much money that guy has? Blah, blah. I'm like, you would never tell. You would never tell. He doesn't look like it. Yet you'd see a lot of people that come in and flaunt their money. And then we would obviously know about their finances because that's what we do. And a lot of them are not doing so well, but they're flaunting their wealth in a way that a lot of people that come in, and I swear these people are wearing like just like a base, like you would never think that they have all that money. So it's not always that you can always tell when people go out how what their status is. And a lot of times people who try to flaunt or look like they have a lot of money, I would be a little bit more cautious around them. And as a woman who gets hit on all the time by men who pretend to have money, I see that a lot. Whereas a lot of men that do have money, or their status or whatever kind of speaks for themselves, or once you get to know them, oh wow, this guy's pretty well off. Those are people that they don't proceed. They don't use their wealth and their status to make human connections. Because if you use your wealth and status to make human connections, you're going to attract people who want you for your wealth and status, which a lot of these men want to avoid because they're not idiots. People who have both are more preoccupied with indulging in and maintaining these relationships, not screaming about how rich they are. Exactly. Oversimplifying a persistent social trend and dismissing it does very little teach you about the world. I'm not dismissing it. That's why I spend so much time talking about it. I actually spend a lot of time talking about incels, the manosphere, the rise of lonely single men. We looked at that article a couple months ago. I spent a lot of time talking about it. And I actually think the left, the reason that they kind of turn to the right wing a lot is unfortunate, because the left wing just calls them losers. And I don't think we should do that. I think that we should actually try to reach them. And that's why I don't dismiss it. That's why I spend a lot of time talking about it. Do you think talking about Andrew Tate is intellectually stimulating for me? Like, do you think that? Do you know how painful it is when I see a video? I have to tell myself, this is part of my job. Click on it. For the longest time, I didn't know who he was. And I would go on TikTok lives and people would be like, what do you think of Andrew Tate? And I was embarrassed. I was like, is this some like prime minister? I don't know. Like, what is this? Is this a political figure? And then I finally figured out who it was. I was like, now I got to fucking pay attention to this. But I have to, because this is important. Because a lot of people are sad, and a lot of people are lonely, and a lot of people are misguided, and they are falling for this shit. And it is causing real world problems, especially men who already either they're like, that's an issue we're seeing in school, is that 11-year-olds, 10-year-old boys, if you're 35 and established and happy and normal with a high IQ, you're not really going to be an Andrew Tate fan. These 11-year-olds who don't have a developed brain are like, yeah, this is great. This is great. And we're seeing that teachers are complaining, like, how do we teach these boys out of this? And that's not oversimplifying it or dismissing it. That's debunking a lot of the stuff that he talks about, which is what I'm talking about here. In some ways, it's even more difficult the more money, wealth, or influence you have. It's harder to trust that it's a mutual relationship based on the self, adding to it that you can just use those to avoid these tough situations. And in term, diving deeper into the less meaningful side, mutual struggle and empathy. Yeah. And this is the case when you have an excess of anything. Like even me, like, you know, I can have meaningful relationships. That's just like my own thing. But sometimes I'm like, oh, why does this person like me? Like, is it because of this? Is it because of that? And again, these objective measures that Kevin Samuels puts in place, like, look at yourself. What would you rate yourself? You're just average. You're fat. You're this. I'm not saying beauty is 100% subjective. I think there's a objective component to it, but there's I get called a 10 and a 2 on the internet every single day. There's at least one man who tells me I'm the most beautiful person he's ever seen, which I think is too far. And then there are men who tell me that I'm just fucking hideous and I'm fat or whatever. I get that all the time too. So it's not that you look at people and you determine their worth. If you want to determine your worth by comparing yourself to other people, which is what you're doing, if you're especially comparing yourself to other people based on wealth and status and how many girls they get, go for it. That's what you think is the key to happiness, is comparing yourself based on those metrics. Go for it. But I don't know if that's the route that I would recommend to anybody. Yes, Andrew Tate has been a toxic influence in some ways. I agree. And that's why he needs to be addressed. And that's why I talk about him. Again, I have no interest. If he wasn't relevant, I wouldn't be talking to him. But if he's relevant, as much as I don't think he should be relevant, that's why we talk about him. Again, you guys, what's wrong with me? Consumerism is a bitch. Clearly, we all know those. We all know of those things have some sort of financial backing. Yeah, not Pigeon Emperor. She doesn't know that. You can't debunk misinformation without separating the true components from the untrue. I just said it is true that you will have access to more women. It is true you will have access to more things. It is true that more people will be around you because of your wealth and your status. But are those things as good as these men seem to think it is? No. So that's the true part. The untrue part is that these things will inevitably make you happy and increase your life satisfaction. Saying all the things men want aren't what they actually want. They should pursue wellness. Does precisely. I didn't say that's not what they actually want. They intrinsically think they want these things because they don't know any better and because they're thinking with their primitive brain over conscious reasoning. Very, very obvious. Like, just like you shouldn't be afraid of the spider, but you are inevitably afraid of the spider. Now, if you could train your brain to not, like me, I'm trying to do that because I will freak out. Like, my whole day will be ruined. I'll be like, how do I kill this? What do I do? If I could get out of that, I would be happier. That doesn't mean, though, that I shouldn't be afraid of the spider because I am evolved to want these things. You are evolved. There's a lot of ways that we are of, like, evolution is slow. We talked about this before. So there are a lot of things that we think or we want and we naturally want it. And it's natural to want them. It's not that we don't want them. Oh, the things they want, they don't actually want. No. There are a lot of things that we are evolutionary predisposed to wanting, to caring about, that actually hinder our growth, right? We talk about this in the fear episode, right? As human beings, we have this fear. People aren't going to like us, whatever, because we're tribalistic creatures. So we don't pursue opportunities that we should. We don't put ourselves out there. We're afraid of what people think of us. We're insecure. These are all natural things. That doesn't mean that they're good. And if you can use your actual brain and intelligence and courage and integrity to push past those things, you will be in a better position. So same thing. Yes, you're naturally predisposed to want to have meaningless sex with a bunch of people, have a bigger house, show off, be the biggest, baddest guy in the room. But is that really going to make you happy and fulfilled at the end of the day? That's not what the empirical evidence shows us. So that is how I'm debunking. I'm debunking it with evidence. You're debunking it with nothing, not even subpar arguments below. And that's not just me saying it. You're not convincing. It's not me you're trying to convince. You're not convincing anybody in here. Nobody has said good point to you, but people have said good point to each other and good point to me. And the worst part of basing your self-worth on others is that negative will stand out more than the positive, but even the positive can be toxic. Yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy. We've all heard this before, haven't we? If there's always somebody higher value than you. There's always somebody wealthier than you, prettier than you, whatever than you. That doesn't mean they're better than you, and that doesn't mean they're more valuable than you. And if you start to think that way, if you start to think that your value is based on these, there's always somebody more valuable than you, when that's not how the world is. This person isn't more valuable than this person because of X reason. Especially if this person is happier than this person, I would rather be this person. Sorry. And the worst part of let me see. You, dude, why are you sad? Yeah, why are you sad? If we're playing ad hominem, that's not even like proper grammar. I mean, if she's gonna call me dumb every 10 seconds, she should be able to get through feelings. No, the problem is I'm used to reading books that are properly punctuated. And in that sentence, I mean, if she's gonna call me dumb every 10 seconds, comma, she should be able to get through a few lines. If you put the comma in there, again, this may be a sign of my privilege of being like a lawyer who reads cases and who reads substantive work that actually is punctuated correctly, flows, isn't a run-on sentence. It's hard for me to read incoherent ramblings coming from you. So if you want me to read your comments more seamlessly, properly punctuate, please. All right. Yeah, evolutionary. I don't know how to say evolutionary. This means you got to live with more stiders. No, I don't want to move to Australia. Some people are just really afraid to go through a rough patch. I'm one of those people. I hate going through a rough patch. But when you get out of the rough patch, as long as you handled the rough patch appropriately and you saw it for what it was and you use it as an opportunity to grow and build character, the rough patch is actually beneficial to your life. But that doesn't mean it's fun. Nobody likes going through a rough patch. And I think many of us are afraid to do it, including myself. Pigeon Emperors, we have moved past you several times now, but you just can't let it go. You're acting like and looking back. Yeah. Bro, Pigeon Emperors, you're pathetic, bro. Classic insult backed into a corner, lashing out a girl who's destroying arguments. Yeah. And you see, comma, I could read it now. Totally hit on what I was going to type. The baser aspects are definitely there, but whether it will lead to true fulfillment and happiness is a different question. Yeah. You are going to have more access to things. Your value in the sexual marketplace will increase. There's plenty of women who are just looking for your money. Yes, if you want to attract gold diggers, make a lot of money. Is somebody who attracts a bunch of gold diggers happier than someone who doesn't attract a lot of gold diggers and has meaningful, deep relationships? That is what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about whether these things will help you get that shallow, exquisite lifestyle that some people pretend they have and some people actually have. Yeah, those things will help you. Yeah, go. I don't actually know if like hustlers, it doesn't seem to help. From what I've seen, the data that's come out is, I mean, at most seems like people make like 2K, like if you're lucky, and a lot of people actually lose money. So I don't know about that, but yeah, if you want to go be a multimillionaire and have a lot of influence and power and have a lot of people who know you and see your worth is that, yeah, that will let you achieve that. I'm just saying, is that what you really want? If you actually have the knowledge that, hey, that might not actually make me happy. That may actually cause more problems in some ways. Maybe I should focus on these things more and then have that as a secondary goal. That's what I'm working on here. I'm not here to say like, okay, guys, I'm gonna go live in the forest and I'm not gonna ever like. No, that's not what I'm saying either. But I'm saying like even for me, things I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to build those meaningful connections. I'm trying to work on my mindfulness. I'm trying to practice more gratitude. I'm trying to do these things, and then also doesn't mean I don't want a nice house and whatever. It's just not my primary focus. And never, ever, ever am I going to sit around and wonder what my value is by watching YouTube videos and comparing myself to other people based on shallow, arbitrary, subjective measures a lot of the time, like beauty, etc. I'll toss you a few comments if that'll help you slow down. Yeah, I will. Fuck privilege. I was born poor and homeschooled and sheltered. I self-educate because I love reading. I hate bad grammar and I'm poor as fuck. Yeah, and Hazard Stint is the only guy online from this world that has gotten my phone number. He's like a really good friend of mine now from being online, and he didn't have wealth, status, money, anything, and a lot of men have that have also reached out to me, and I don't care. But that's just me. Other women probably would search for those things, but I think I'm cooler. Personally, I have better conversations, deeper conversations than they may. I'm not saying they're all stupid. I actually think gold diggers, go for it. Go get your resources. If you like, I salute. But the thing is, as a guy, is that what you want to attract in all women, right? And you're gonna actually be off-putting to a lot of women too, such as myself. There was a guy that literally, like, I thought he was so cute whenever we met, and then like all he talks about is he's a lot of money, all his businesses. It's not. I ghosted him. I'm like, this is fucking you. And he's still like, hello. Okay, poor is a functional reality in American society that helps the wheels of capitalism keep turning. But that's a discussion for another podcast. And I will be honest, I am not very. I love studying social dynamics, human behavior, human psychology and stuff, econ, and like comparing capitalism and socialism and things. I'm not well versed on it, so I don't think I have a meaningful take to give. Maybe one day I will be interested and I'll read a couple books and I'll formulate my thoughts and come share those. But I don't speak on things that I feel like I don't have enough information to actually contribute to the discussion. Others, as we see, do not share these sentiments. The real question is, how do we get Jazz and have a deeper relationship with her? That's happiness. Hazard Stint did it. Back in the days I used to watch, oh my God, The Wire is the best show in the world. Math 79. I'm with you. And couldn't believe some Americans feel like a third world country and the murder rate was insane. I had to Google to get. It is crazy. Still waiting for a try on haul in YouTube. I know. I just have so many things I want to talk about. Like I'm going to do a video on this and then I'm like talking is, but if you want to see try on hauls, there's a place where those get very juicy. I might do a live stream on OnlyFans with a try on haul too one day. But so we engaged in zero discussion, examined 0 point. Okay. Does anybody else agree with this? Let's he wants to call me like lawyer stuff. All right, jury, which is the audience. Who thinks that this is true? Let me know. If nobody thinks this is true, then we're going to say that you're the odd one out. And especially since you love status and reputation and what other people think of you, let's see what other people think of you. Let's see. So I'm going to say no, this isn't true. I don't agree. Someone else said that. You can't have a biased jury. Well, you're on my live stream. What else you're building this is a chance for you to build your reputation, win people over. I addressed all of your arguments. I can even ask anyone who looks at the replay. We have over 1,000 people now always watching these replays. Please reach out to me or reach out to Pigeon Emperors directly if you think he's right. And you can share that information with me and I will display it on the next live stream. You can't just say we discussed 0 points and have that be true. My counter is that you made some points and I debunked those points with the research that I discussed. Hazardson said, it was so awesome having you tonight. You failed the devil's advocate, but made this way. You did make this more entertaining because, again, a lot of this stuff seems like a lot of people are like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's not real happiness. That's not blah, blah, blah. And if we all just agreed with each other and there was no idiot in there, then it would have been not as fun. Jasmine, I won't lie, but you're beautiful. I love watching you dress sexy, not naked. It's just noted. I am new here, but I will say Pigeon has heart, but wasn't really understanding what Jasmine was saying. Yeah, that was another big thing is he was saying I was saying things that I wasn't. He was doing a lot of oversimplifying, straw manning. So it's hard to address points that I didn't make, if that's what you're talking about. But the points that I did make, I feel like I backed them up thoroughly. Not to say there probably there isn't good pushback to some of the things I was saying, but he did not bring any of that in. If you can repeat to, for instance. So is this your better grammar? If you can repeat to, I don't know what that means. Quite a bit of a hyperbole. There was definitely discussion. The social sphere just has arguments that you weren't able to refute, at least to the satisfaction of the people here. There you go. I think Jaredman92 is he seems like that's a very good take that isn't mean to you like you think we are. Okay. Oh shit, I gotta go. I gotta go to my my other live. Okay, it's 7 minutes in. Oh, here he says, well, time to sell your pussy. Guys, let's put this up. Let's put up the incel comment. Put it up. There we go. He won the argument, huh? All right. Anyways, if you guys want to see more of that, which I'm sure he will, they always do, go over there. I'm going to hop on right now. I'm already 7 minutes late. Got to go do that. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. And there it is, the salt. I know. All right. Bye.